ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Disc Fusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Hello, it is Thursday. We are here and we're back after being, I think, MIA last week. I don't even know anymore.
We might have been MIA 2 weeks in a row. Maybe.
I don't know, man.
I can't remember. Yes, we were MIA last week because I was in the South Carolina mountains.
And you survived your roll down the mountain?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
Yes,
I figure it's efficient. Like when you get to the top, why, try? Just kind of, right?
Sure.
Let's roll.
Yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific counter himself, Zealeus.
It is good to see you alive and well.
But, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this, of course, is the Thursday Night Hangout. It's a live show where I try our best to cover the topics most important to you during the show. At any point during the show, if you have any topics, questions, concerns, criticisms, opinions, or you just want to chat, drop it in the chat, be it on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and we will add it to the show. If we do, unfortunately, run out of time, we'll add it to the very next show.
I already have a criticism.
What's that?
I have a bad feeling about the topics.
Uh-oh.
It's been a slaughterhouse of a week of news.
Yes. Well, let's see if we can start it off with something uplifting. How about that?
All right. Yes.
So, for many of you out there was this thing, this like party place to go as a kid that was pretty cool. You get a bunch of tokens, you get a bunch of tickets, you turn in those tickets for tchotchke items. And yes, it's sort of like Dave & Buster's, but not quite Dave & Buster's because it was pre-Dave & Buster's. What I'm talking about is Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza, if you want to go super duper back in time. Well, it turns out that the owners of Chuck E. Cheese have decided that they're opening something called Chuck's Arcade, which is basically the Chuck E. Cheese arcade fun, but without all the screaming kids, animatronics. It's just for adults.
Interesting. So it reminds me of someplace like the Painted Pen, which if y'all aren't familiar with the Painted Pen, it's basically, they have like one or two, I think, in downtown Atlanta. It's basically like bowling and those types of games, but like for adults only, with the whole point is you go there and partake in the games and drink. I mean, I guess this is a similar type of concept where it's almost like high class or highbrow gaming, but the idea of drinking also kind of reminds me a little bit of Battle and Brew at Night.
Actually, I have to take something back. There is animatronics still in the thing. Basically, they said it combines the classic games and the hottest new games alongside iconic animatronic characters. It is described as a new destination where nostalgia meets the future.
Sure. I mean, there's a market for it. I'm not sure how sustainable of a market is always the issue. Yeah. It's one of the things where, like, because they even like look at Battle and Brew, right? It's just the gimmick. I'm going to call it gimmick. The gimmick is that it's gaming, right? You go there, they got that alone doesn't sustain it. The reality is they actually have good food. You know what I mean? So it's like if they had terrible food and bad booze, like it probably wouldn't have succeeded. And even then, like it sold a couple of times, probably due to issues, right? And so it's like, especially when it comes to gaming of any kind, like now we all have like these magic things. And, the mobile things like the Switch 2s and the Steam Deck and the form of your hand. Like when we were growing up, for a lot of us, the only way to play these games was at the arcade, right? Because it was a cost affordability thing. Like you could pop a few quarters and play a game, but we couldn't all afford to have consoles in our house. Now, most people have some kind of gaming platform. Maybe it's the phone, but it's still something that we didn't even have growing up. So sure, why not? Give it a shot, see what happens. But Chuck E. Cheese itself still exists. I don't actually know.
Huh?
No, I was curious if Chuck E. Cheese even still exists.
Yeah,
there's a website for it. Okay.
There are, like I said, there's 10 locations that are opening, and I'm going to give you those 10. So if they're in the close by, maybe you could go check it out and tell us all about it. But they are in St. Petersburg, Florida, Trumbull, Connecticut, Oklahoma City, and Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Sure.
Victor, New York, El Paso, Texas, Nassau and Salem, New Hampshire, St. Louis, Missouri, and Buford, Georgia.
Woo! So I'm curious. I'm looking at the one here. It's like advertised to the website.
Yep.
And you can do a birthday party for $100, which is 2 hours. So what I'm confused about is unlimited visits for $8 a month. Like, what does that visit actually include? Like, does it cost money to like walk into Chuck E. Cheese now?
I'm assuming that there's probably an entry fee.
That's interesting because there was definitely not an entry fee when we were growing up. You just went there and then you had to pay for stuff when you got there.
Yeah.
But like, you could just go there.
I think the last time I went to a Chuck E. Cheese, I was in Seattle, and I was with a bunch of guys, and we were bound and determined to get enough tickets to buy the cheap lava lamp for somebody for their birthday.
Nice. I can appreciate that.
But yeah, there you go.
That was the thing as a kid is I'm guessing you probably did the same thing. Like you go like on vacation, like we would go to Destin, and you go to arcades, and the big thing was playing for tickets to win some kind of Shotsky gift, basically.
Yep. But usually end up with a bunch of erasers.
Oh man, we went bigger. We'll go home. We wanted like the big stuffed animals.
Yeah, that's where we'd aim, but I would usually go home with the erasers.
Fair enough.
Because those were actually attainable. Okay. Now that we got some happy, fun news, let's go, unfortunately, the opposite end of the spectrum, and let's talk about the fact that a pretty good actor, I have to say, has unfortunately passed away, and that, of course, is Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
He was in Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill 2, The Hateful Eight, along with a ton of other stuff. He unfortunately has passed at the age of 67. It was cardiac arrest in his Malibu home.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate. He was a great actor in a lot of good movies. Always sad to see a person like that pass away, especially when they're not really that old.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of some of the other movies he was in that I like watched. I'm not saying that I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I
mostly know him from the Quentin Tarantino stuff.
Yeah, so that's Kill Bill and Reservoir Dogs.
Who directed Hateful Eight?
Actually, that might have been.
Was that also Quentin Tarantino? I never know.
That might have been. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Yep, it was Tarantino. So there.
Yeah.
So Madsen was like a Tarantino staple.
I mean, he wants people who can act in his shows. I get it.
Yes. Yes, Chip. I'm very aware that the Dunwoody Parade is tomorrow. There's people who have put out their chairs 3 days in advance to make sure they got prime real estate.
How close to you does the parade come? Could you walk to the parade from where you live?
Yes.
Put it that way.
Yes,
Nice.
I can. I mean, it's all uphill from my house, but I could definitely get there.
Parade.
So, but yeah.
In the snow.
Yeah, both ways.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
I feel like there was another one. Oh, it's going to bother me. I feel like there was like a Madsen movie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about another parade.
No, God, Jesus, no, I don't. That one parade is enough for me. Dreams of living in Dunwoody.
It out, like go to the Dunwoody parade, then you have to have a noon one, then you can go to evening fireworks. It's a whole day of yeah, America.
Yeah. Yay, America.
America.
America. Anyways. So I'll look at I can't find the movie I was thinking about, but anyways, it's unfortunate Michael Madsen, 67, has passed away.
Indeed.
Okay, now let's go to the other side, shall we?
Somebody was born.
A new amazing actor was born today. I don't know. There is an update that was released in Steam that apparently will fix a very annoying issue to those that are above a certain age. For anybody out there who plays or who utilizes Steam for finding their games, you are very aware that when you hit titles that are rated mature, you have to put in your birth date every single time to view the page. Well, apparently, there is a feature that will just lock that information in, and then you never have to see that stupid page. And you just look at the actual gaming page.
You mean the age page that nobody actually pays attention to, and they just scroll down far and click in random year?
Yep, that's the one. That's the one. So I don't know how to actually turn that on, but apparently that feature is now available. So people go figure it out and then tell me about it so I can turn it off on my Steam.
See, if you just didn't look at any adult games, it wouldn't be an issue.
Well, the thing is, I've just basically entered a contract with a new game that's going to take me at least 60 hours, so I'm not going to be browsing Steam anytime soon.
Uh-oh. Did you just sign your free life away?
I got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It was on sale, and I was like, I've got to continue the story. And I, of course, had, like, a couple of months ago, stupidly uninstalled Final Fantasy VII Remake, which then made my save unavailable. So when I had to then re-download and reinstall Remake so I could get access to my cloud save game, that then I could go into Rebirth and go, aha, I do have a save game, and get a bunch of bonus stuff that I don't have access to because the first chapter is a bunch of backstory stuff that you got to do. So you don't get all the stuff, all the hard work that I've done, I haven't actually been able to reap the benefits of because they lock you in for the first chapter.
That is kind of silly with the saves.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Baldur's Gate 3, personally.
No.
Still haven't given in?
I have not. Amazingly enough, I have not.
I mean, it's the Steam summer sale.
I know, but I've been basically, once I found out that Rebirth was now available for PC, because I know it's been on the PlayStation 5 forever. When it finally came to the PC, I was like, oh, and then I was like, shit, it's too much. I can't pay that. And then I saw there was a sale, and I'm like, and now it's done.
Fair enough.
Side note, not really a video game or nerd thing, but due to certain United States government legislation, a certain website for adult videos apparently has to conform to a new rule that makes all viewers have to put in their driver's license information in order to view the site. So for those out there who utilize those that specific adult video website, I'm very sorry for you, and I hope that you find a new one that won't download a bunch of malware and infect your computer.
Yep, and it's probably going to come to all the states, and the fear is it expanding to things beyond just those websites.
Yes.
And it's going to become a way for the government to further track everything we do.
Yes.
And other nefarious third parties.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of nefarious third parties or first parties, let's talk about the fact that apparently Facebook is going to basically feed its AI private and unpublished photos that you may be storing on your Facebook account.
Well, that's shocking.
Yeah. Surprised it didn't happen sooner. But if you don't want it seen, period, or you don't want it to be part of the sample pool for AI, for Facebook AI, don't have it at all on the internet. Hell, only post the stuff that you want online.
Pretty much. Because even though stuff is marked as private, it can still get out there.
It's not truly private.
Yeah.
It's like on YouTube. If you mark a video private, or if there's a way around it so that people can still see it.
Oh, there's ways around everything.
Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah. I'm just glad we did not have the Facebooks and the YouTubes when we were in school. Because kids nowadays, like, their entire life is published online.
It's all TikTok and Instagram.
I'm glad we did not have that.
Yeah.
I'm also glad we didn't have like online grades when I was growing up.
I am happy that online grades were a thing when I was in college, because I have this wonderful thing called Dreamweaver. It's a software that helped you develop websites, and I could doctor websites with it. So,
it was easier to just edit a PDF and print that out for your parents. I'm just saying.
No, they wanted to see the webpage.
Mm-hmm.
They just never looked at the address bar.
Mm.
Anyways, I don't know why all my tabs so far have been like good news, bad news, good news, bad news, good news, bad news. So we're on the uptick. So we're going good news now. So I talked about this book. I don't know if I talked about it during a show, or maybe I just talked to Zealeus offline. I know I've talked about this book to several different people, but there is a book series called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And it is pretty damn good. And you know it's pretty damn good because one of the catchphrases from the book has already been made into a t-shirt, and that t-shirt has already been put on the social media by the one and only Felicia Day. So you gotta know this shit's good. Anyways, news came down a couple weeks ago that Dungeon Crawler Carl is going to be made into a TV show.
Of course it is. What is not being made into a TV show?
And
made into a TV
show. The company behind it is Fuzzy Door, which of course is the company of Seth MacFarlane, which if Seth MacFarlane has any way he touches this thing, it'll be even more epic. So I'm excited.
So is the book like a comedy book?
It is.
Just think of Seth MacFarlane, because normally he does.
It's a what do you call it? Oh my gosh, what do you call it? It's a certain type.
Lit RPG.
Yep, that's it. Lit RPG. It's definitely comedic.
Okay.
The tagline, for those who are curious, is "God damn it, Donut," and Donut is Carl's cat, who has gained sentience, and Donut's backstory is that she was a blue ribbon winning show cat, and so she's got a certain sass to her, and then Carl, who's basically been the doormat to the world, where he just lets everyone walk over him, but now, since he's been thrust into this situation, he's grown a backbone, and he's trying to screw over. I don't want to give away too much of the story, but basically, there is a universe full of different aliens and races and stuff, and what they do is they get bored, and they decide to host these dungeon events on different planets, and they basically squish everything down on the surface of a planet, and then they build a dungeon that goes into the planet. Any human who isn't squished by the initial squish has the option to either basically stay on the surface of a now completely flattened world, or you can enter the dungeon. Now, entering the dungeon means that you could die immediately, but if you get to, I think it's like level 10 or level 12 of the dungeon, you may be able to get a deal that'll allow you to live out your days in comfort. And Carl, of course, and Donut go down into the dungeon, and that's where all the mayhem happens.
Sounds like the perfect gotcha game.
Yes. And there's an AI, a very advanced AI that's in charge of controlling different gaming aspects, and it is what do you call it? There is a lot of RNG hell, which of course is random number generator. For those of you who don't know what RNG means, and so the players get dicked over a lot, and then they gain. Yeah, it's good. I highly, if you like RPGs or MMO RPGs, or you like sci-fi fantasy, I at least check out the first book. It may not be for you, but I think that it'll be enjoyable no matter what.
Nice.
Okay. On to the next story. That was a happy one. Let's go to a sad one, because that's what we're doing. We're ping-ponging back and forth, ladies and gentlemen. That's now our new thing for this show. The next bit of news is layoff related. Microsoft has decided to pull funding for a new shooter from a company created by John Romero. For those older kids out there, you may remember John Romero. John Romero was one of these like legendary figures to help really usher in the early days of FPSs, first-person shooters. But once he left, I think it was id Software is where he basically made his money. Since he's left there, I feel like he has basically found ways to fall over and flop. And now, unfortunately, this new game, the funding was pulled, and because of that funding being pulled, not only is the game not coming, but the entire company has shut down.
Yeah, I think Microsoft's laid off around 9,000 workers in the last year or two.
Yep.
And I also saw that Warcraft Rumble, the unknown mobile game from them, is also on, what are they calling it? Life support, basically, where it's no longer going to be updated. Yeah, it basically they did that. Another one of my favorite games I played was Outriders, and it's been officially canned, the Outriders 2 by People May Fly. So it's a pretty rough time for video game development right now.
Yes.
Just all around sucks. Yeah. And unfortunately, of course, you're a video game dev, you get laid off, and where are you going to go work? Because
everyone's laying off.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Because AI is going to solve all of our problems.
Of course. AI will be able to take away all the jobs and make us happy people. I mean, oh no, that's not how it's going to work.
Isn't that how it works in the video games?
Sadly, no.
No.
So, unfortunately,
I saw Perfect Dark was the update to Perfect Dark was also canned.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so yeah.
So you're either in the video game industry, actually hell, if your company touches certain companies like Microsoft or Warner Brothers, there's a very good chance that you're going to say bye-bye to some part of your work staff, if not all of your work staff. WB has continued to basically shut down movie projects, TV shows, video games, entire TV channels. They're yeah.
And WB is always the one that baffles me, because like they've made fantastic games that they just don't follow up on. Like, you got the whole Mordor, Shadows of Mordor,
Yep.
and I always get the name. And like now, there's nothing else coming.
Yep.
They did no DLCs for Hogwarts. I know obstinately because they're doing the sequel, which we've still heard nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they would have printed money like nonstop within a printing press if they just did DL. I mean, hell, they could have done the what do you call it? Like the Call of Duty thing where you just like release tons of DLC shit. People would have bought it in a heartbeat. So like, that's what's so frustrating. They do actually create good products, but then there's just like such a dearth of anything else. I'm like, come on. Because they have like, they're sitting on great IPs. Yeah. But
now it's sitting on great IPs is another topic that we could probably do an entire show on, and how, you know, I'm very willing to jump up on a soapbox and maybe get some torches and pitchforks, because there's some amazing IP that needs to be, you know, reintroduced into the world. And then there's also the original creators of the IP who don't own the IP anymore, and they just want to have their hands on it. But the IP holder has decided to just sit on it and make everyone suffer. And before anyone asks, no, I'm not talking about Chrono Trigger, because they keep coming out with just Chrono Trigger just on the latest and greatest platform, because they know that it. I kind of think that Chrono Trigger is kind of like the Final Fantasy VII before Final Fantasy VII was out. Like, everyone has such fond memories of it, but I think that if you were to truly, you know, dig into it, you'd be like, oh, this is not as complete as I thought it was. Which is, of course, why Square Enix got Final Fantasy VII in 3 different parts. Remake, Rebirth, and I don't know what the third one is. I'm playing Rebirth right now, and I have to say that I can't remember if what I'm going through was actually included in the original or not. But I'm like, damn, this I feel like, huh?
I never actually played the OG Final Fantasy VII.
I played the original OG, then lent the original OG to a friend, and that friend's brother sold it for real cheap at a garage sale. So, I'm not angry at all. Not at all. But I know that Zealeus had the OG on PC.
Yeah, and I have no idea what ever actually happened to that copy.
Yeah.
And it was in a cool box.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was a pretty sweet box. Not going to lie, it's a pretty sweet box.
Yeah.
All right.
I do, like, I get the idea of the copyright laws to give the original producer, you know, control over it, but I do kind of feel that at some point, if it's not being produced upon, it should basically go into the what's it called? It basically has no copyright.
I'm trying to. It's public domain.
Yeah, it should go into it should go into the public domain much more rapidly than it does now. Basically, is how I feel about it. Yeah, but alas, that is not our choice, and we're not billionaires, so we don't get any say in it.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause real quick to thank the individuals who help Alter Confusion be the Alter Confusion that you love and adore, and that starts off with the Indie Cluster. The Indie Cluster is an organization of independent game developers that want to gain exposure by being involved in the community. They collectively journey to popular conferences as a traveling booth to help gain attention for their games. They make partnerships in local communities to bring games to the mainstream mindset. They highlight local, unusual, and rare concepts to challenge the paradigm of the common. They also host events to teach kids and minority groups about game development to hopefully one day enter into the industry themselves. For more information, go to indiecluster.com. The next shout-out we got to give is to the AV master himself, and that, of course, is Noodleboy Media. Founded in 2015 by Andrew Tran, Noodleboy Media, previously White Kid 47 Media, is your choice for professional photo shoots and panel recordings at conventions. They pride themselves in providing a high level of professionalism top-notch experiences, and quality services. If you want more information and to view their full list of services, check out facebook.com/noodleboymedia.
Yeah.
The next shout-out we're going to give is to an individual who actually need to call and schedule an appointment to help all the aches and pains in my body from long gaming and working sessions. And, of course, is Hero Chiropractic. Hero Chiropractic is a unique healthcare practice set up by Ryan Moore. The company's focus to elevate a patient's experience of freedom, creative expression, and joy. They believe that everyone can be a hero and has incredible heroic potential inside themselves waiting to be unleashed. Hero Chiropractic focuses on mobile chiropractic care in the greater Atlanta area. They are committed to healing clients by creating a plan of action uniquely suited for each person. They make that plan of action as convenient and affordable as possible, and most importantly, suited to individual needs. For more information, go to herochiropractic.com. The next shout-out we got to give is to the music maestro himself, and that, of course, is CrossPad Creative. Need a new logo or want to work on a full branding and content strategy, or maybe you need music or audio for your content, just like Alter Confusion? CrossPad Creative offers a whole host of solutions for individuals and small businesses. Just email Josh at crosspadcreative@gmail.com and see what he can do for you. And the final shout-out we got to give is the original patron of Alter Confusion. That, of course, is Agile Axiom. By day, Axe leads both a development team and system administration team working with satellites at NASA's Goddard campus. But while not in meetings and many times during, he is the Agile evangelist, Agile Axe, championing the philosophy of Agile and trying to make the world a better place for software developers, testers, system admins, and software projects the world over. Decades of experience in software development and leading Agile teams are brought to bear against evil processes, inefficient work, and bad habits. For more information, go to agileaxiom.com. Now, I need to take a quick drink here because, oh my God, I got something stuck in my throat.
Wait, you're allowed to drink on the job? You are a lucky man.
It's just flavored water, guys.
Hitting it
I
hard.
would love to have something other than flavored water. It's just flavored water. All right.
Hey,
I know
what you gotta do.
I know. I know at this very moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, you are dying to know, how do I become a patron of Alter Confusion or a friend of the show? It's the same deal. Ladies and gentlemen, Alter Confusion survives on love and support of fans like you, and so we have a Patreon page. Patreon lets you, the fans, lovers, haters, demigods, interdimensional beings, gods, demons, aliens, vampires, werewolves, swamp creatures, mummies, supporters, and more to become active participants in the work we love through a monthly membership. This gives you access to exclusive content, community, and insight into our creative process. In exchange, we gain a bit more freedom to do our best work and the stability we need to build an even stronger creative career. We currently have 2 tiers that you can pledge at. You have the $1 a month, that's $1 a month or $12 a year tier. What that gets you is early access to all of our playthroughs, which the current playthrough is a game called Tacoma. And, of course, the ability to participate in patron-only posts. Now, if you're feeling extra frisky, you can bump that up to the $5 a month. That's $5 a month or $60 a year tier. What they get you is everything at the $1 tier, plus your name or organization added to the Friends of the Show section of every single Thursday night hangout. So if you want to become a patron of Alter Confusion, go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/alteredconfusion. Now, of course, the next shout we got to give is, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Alter Confusion is proud to say that we have been fundraising for Extra Life for 14 years straight. Extra Life is gamers doing what they do best, game, to help sick and injured children at their chosen Children's Miracle Network Hospital. The money that we raise through Extra Life will go directly to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta as unrestricted funds. This means that the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars we raise make the biggest impact in the lives of the kids they treat. So, if you have the capacity to donate, please go to extra-life.org and search for Altered Confusion. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be hooked up with some sweet Alter Confusion swag, say a hat or a vinyl sticker or a coffee mug or a pet food bowl, all you got to do is go to alteredconfusion.tv/merch, that's MERCH, and you can get hooked up with some of this badass stuff.
Nice.
Good grief. My allergies, man. I don't know what's going on.
it's life living here.
Yeah. Welcome to Georgia, where the temperature change can cause your sinuses to squeeze your brain into nothing.
Or your brain to become sinuses overnight and
Dun, dun,
ooze
dun.
out your ears.
Okay. For those of you lucky bastards out there who have been able to obtain a Switch 2, congratulations. You may also have noticed that only first-party games seem to be doing well on the system. Outside of Cyberpunk 2077, most third-party games are super struggling. Which is sad, but at the same time, I don't know. I just don't know if maybe the reason why the sales aren't so good is that not as many people have the Switch 2 as you would think. I don't know, but
I think part of it is, if you think about the Switch 1,
yeah.
I mean, yes, you Switch 2 games like Cyberpunk 2077, but you also look at a game like that. It's been out for years, right? Like, it's not like it's a new AAA launch on the Switch 2. And a lot of people are probably, myself included, like, I have the Switch 1. I still have games you can play on it.
Yep.
I don't need to get the Switch 2 yet. Oh, and also, it doesn't have an OLED screen. And also, we know they're gonna come out with the upgrade. They're gonna come out with the upgraded version, whatever that looks like in a year or two, because that's what they've done. Or a lot of people are like, now, like, oh, they're gonna come out with the Switch 2 Lite, which I'm not the target audience for it, but there's obviously people who are. So if you want the Switch 2 Lite, why would you buy the Switch 2 OG? So I think in a way, like, Nintendo has created these expectations that we didn't know when the Switch 1 came out that these were, I mean, you probably thought they were, but like it was on the roadmap, right? So you had to get the Switch 1 OG. But now that you've seen like what they've done with the Switch 1, I think a lot of people are like, I'm just gonna wait to see what they do with the Switch 2 at this point.
Speaking of the Switch 2, I've heard a rumor, and I can't verify it because I don't have a Switch 2, but apparently there's a rumor out there that you have to have the Nintendo branded like docking station and the USB-C connector, because if you don't, the Switch 2 won't recognize it.
Yeah, so I did see that. From my understanding is basically you can encrypt the USB-C protocol, and it's encrypted in such a way where, to your point, other non-Nintendo thingamadoodles can interact with it. Other than, I think they could still deliver power because it's mandated by the EU. But outside of that, like actually transmit data to like be a docking station or be a screen, things like that. Yeah, you have to use the Apple, or not Apple, because it's an Apple type of thing to do. But they have to do it. It sucks because this is exactly what the EU is trying to do with their electronic consumer laws. This is 100% anti-consumer tactic by Nintendo. I mean, there's not to me at least, there's not a legitimately good reason to lock it down like they are. It would be like, to me, lock it, and Apple doesn't do this, by the way, but to me, it would be like Apple locking down their laptops so you can only use an Apple branded LCD on their laptops. It's the exact same premise to me. So yeah, it sucks for consumers. Yeah. Or like Sony. Actually, Sony's an even better example, right? Because nobody buys Apple TVs, consumers at least. But Sony TVs. What if you could only play a Sony TV on your PlayStation 5?
Oh my God.
I mean, it's the same concept, really.
Right.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you can use third-party controllers on your PS5. I'm assuming the Xbox.
That would assume as well.
Yeah, it's just a Bluetooth.
It's just Bluetooth.
Yeah. I'm assuming you can use third-party Bluetooth controllers on Nintendo because it is just Bluetooth.
I believe so, at least on the Switch.
But yep.
Yeah. Fun times.
So, I mean, at some point, I'm sure I'll get a Switch 2. I just don't see a reason to now. I guess
Agreed. There's it's probably going to be, in total honesty and complete transparency, it is going to take that killer game coming out that is going to cause me to be like, oh, I have to have my Switch 2 because I have to play this game. And as much as me and my boys love us some Mario Kart, that's not a big enough title for us to jump onto the Switch 2 immediately.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it, though. If you have the Switch 1 and you're playing it for the party atmosphere like Mario Kart or Super Smash Brothers, like, they still work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like they're just going to turn off and stop being able to drive your cart or brawl with people. So from that perspective, I mean, I've heard Mario Kart, whatever the new one's called, I heard it's great, but is it worth upgrading?
I've heard that there's like a real, like, if you learn some of the tricks, you can basically you're just OP.
Oh, interesting.
Now, of course, if you go, PvP against people, then everyone's using the same trick and, it equals out. But against the CPU, there's ways to give yourself speed boosts that are insane because you can basically bounce off stuff to give you the extra boost. And once you figure out how to do it, you're basically doing it all the time. So
probably. Yeah.
Okay. I think we just flipped into downer news the rest of the way, unless we could find something fun and exciting. I'm so sorry. But maybe this isn't really downer news. This is kind of good, but it's for a bad thing. And that is that 3 former Ubisoft executives have officially been convicted of workplace harassment.
Oh.
They have been found guilty of facilitating and, in some cases, participating in workplace culture that enabled sexual and psychological harassment during their time at the company. Unfortunately, the executives at the center of this lawsuit are unlikely to serve jail time. But they were found guilty.
Shit flows downhill is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, from my understanding, it was that boys' club environment. And, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where, it's unfortunate it happened, but also good that there is eventually some repercussions for such dickbaggery behavior.
Yep.
And I have no doubt that those execs knew what exactly was going on, but alas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go with something a little bit funner, maybe? I don't know. For those Microsoft Windows users out there, you may have come to terms with a certain thing that would happen when your computer crashed. And that was the blue screen of death.
Yes.
Well, Microsoft is retiring the blue screen of death. Now, that doesn't mean that your software is going to run smoothly all the time. What's going to end up happening is you're going to have a black screen of death.
Hey, the acronym stays the same at least.
Yes. So instead of having something that says your PC ran into a problem and needs a restart, we're just collecting some error info and then we'll restart you. And then it gives you the percentage dial. It will now just say your device ran into a problem and needs to restart, and then give you the percentage of complete to reboot.
So even less information to help out the consumer than before is what I'm hearing.
What are you going to do about it? All you're going to do is watch the numbers go up. Hopefully.
I like watching numbers. It makes me feel fulfilled.
Oh man. Hopefully yeah.
The only time I get blue screen stuff now are like when my peripheral drivers try installing their shit and Windows tries installing drivers simultaneously.
Yep.
It kind of blows up. Even though I've told Windows like 1,800 times, don't install drivers. I want the software to do it, not you, because Microsoft drivers suck.
Got you. So what you're saying is that we should just install the drivers when we find them.
Wait, no, that's not what I said. Damn it. Yeah.
So you have no problems with us just finding drivers that we think are the best.
You're giving me PTSD, man.
I remember there was a guy that I knew back in school that when there was a new driver, he didn't just install the update. He uninstalled the old driver completely and did a fresh install of the latest driver.
There are people who do that for graphics updates still.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit excessive, but there was a time when driver hardware was really sketchy, so I kind of understand it once upon a time.
Yes.
Now, if you get a new graphics card, you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
But that's not very common.
No.
Unless you're an uber gamer.
Aren't we all uber gamers?
Only if you have the gigawatt graphics card.
But I've only got the 0.5 gigawatt graphics card.
Sorry, get out, sir. You are not worthy.
Damn it. Okay. This is like, oh my gosh. The next story that that has come across my desk involves a game that kickstarted for over $300,000. It was basically described as a JRPG love letter. The game is called Alzara Radiant Echoes.
Sure.
And unfortunately, the company has now had to put an indefinite pause on the game simply because the studio is closed.
Oh
no. I'm curious as to what the ramifications are, because in the early days of Kickstarter, people could basically raise the money and then take the money and run. But now there are some ramifications through Kickstarter, so I'd be curious as to how they deal with this issue. The update from the studio was the video game industry is currently going through a crisis. Many studios have been forced to close due to lack of funding, and over 20,000 workers have lost their jobs. Investors are now operating in a market where taking risk is discouraged, and they can afford to wait before committing to a project in order to reduce risk. This part of the harsh reality of the industry, we are creatives, but we need funding to keep creating. Sometimes even having a promising game concept with proven market interest and a strong team is not enough. Many say that every released game is a miracle, and that couldn't be more true. There is a slim chance that another company will come around and pick up the project. And even if that happens, the game would inevitably take a different direction than what was presented during the campaign, but hopefully for the better. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a very harsh reality of the current economic situation for a lot of industries, to be honest. Yeah. Where I'll put it this way. I would tell any kid in college or high school, go get a blue collar job.
Yep.
Something you have to use your hands for that AI can't take over anytime soon. Be a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, any type of those trade skills, you'll be much better off.
Yes.
Because we're always going to need it, and people are always going to be shitting.
Find people that that you might be able to work with. Like if you're, become an electrician and then form a party with a plumber, and then form a contractor company where you're working on job sites and tile. Um, the amount of tile that's coming into this house, the replacing of the drywall and the studs and the stairs, and if you do shit right, you will get work.
Or hell, I had just the other day, actually just yesterday, my sliding door came off.
Oh no!
On my patio, it didn't fall over, but it came off the track. Yep. I spent like a good half hour trying to get the damn thing on, right?
Yep.
I couldn't get it, so I call a handyman. It's one of those situations where the dude comes in, looks at it, lifts it, and pops it back into place in 10 seconds. I'm like, bloody hell, I did that for at least like a half hour trying to do the same thing.
Yup.
But like those type of people who are skilled like that and have seen these things, they know how to do that. Like, they're always going to have dipshits like me who are going to have jobs for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the reality. So yeah, that's what that is the future of where people should be looking for. And plus, college is a hell of a lot cheaper for a trade school.
Yeah. All right. Final topic. What is your view on review bombing of games just as they're coming out?
It depends why it's being review bombed. If it's being review bombed because it's like something out of their control, then it's dumb. And the problem with review bombs is usually it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Where people, even if they don't necessarily have that opinion, it becomes like a dogpile type of situation. Whereas if it was a truly actually independent, unique perspective, they probably have a different opinion. And that's also a lot of reviews, I think, are that way. It's not just review bombs. It's just in general, we become very affected by other people's perceptions of XYZ, which then color our opinion even before we've seen or heard that piece of whatever it is, basically.
Right.
That's just kind of human psychology in a way. But as far as it's tough with review bombs because if they get, especially on Steam, usually a bigger game will eventually recover, but especially if you're a smaller game and you get review bombed, you may never actually recover. And
yes,
so many people buy them based off of reviews, understandably so. I mean, that's why they're there, to kind of get an idea of what it is. But it's also kind of, remember, if you're review bombing people, you're that's actually their livelihood in a way. But it's also tricky because a game that still is overwhelmingly negative or mostly negative, I think, is Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah.
Which it kind of comes out what is a legitimate reason to review bomb or even just make a review? So everything I've read about Wilds is from a Monster Hunter gameplay. It's a great game. The problem is the performance is not up to par. It's glitchy and stutters and stuff. So it kind of is that alone a good reason for a game to be overwhelmingly negative?
Right.
Or is there certain reasons why games should or should not be negative? I don't know.
So Ryan Moore, the hero chiropractor himself, says it depends on the game and what it's employing, i.e., Mario Kart World was review bombed for its $80 price tag. Is the game bad? Not necessarily, just because people are upset about the price.
And to that point of Mario Kart World, I think that's a absolutely stupid reason. If at that point, just don't buy the game.
Right. No, I think it's it's kind of on par with the bombing that, or I think there was some review bombing that happened when any Harry Potter universe game gets released and people are review bombing it simply because J.K. Rowling's name, or J.K. Rowling is the creator of the Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah, because that's associated with it. It gets all murky, and yeah, it's
Personally,
yeah,
the only reason why I'm going to review bomb something is if it's just so absolutely terrible game wise. It's glitchy. Um, Maybe there's not enough game content to it, but I'm not going to do it simply on the cover or on the subject of what it's based on.
yeah. Or put it away, like my view of a game and how I review it should be based on the game itself, not factors external to the game. Because the J.K. Rowling, for instance, to me, that's external to the game.
Yeah.
$80 price tag is external to the game. It's not actually indicative of the gameplay itself. So that's what I expect from reviews: is what is the actual game itself?
Yes.
Is how I would
concur. I agree.
proceed.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we do love the mob mentality though, because that's. Yeah.
I'm actually trying to think of the last game that I bombed. I'm really particular about what games I pick up, so it's really hard for me to write bad reviews, because usually if I think it's going to be bad, I just stay away from it.
Well, for me, it's tough because what is a bad game is in the eye of the beholder. A good example is, so when I was going on my long flights last month, I was like, hey, what game should I buy? Like, I asked the channel. And one of the games they recommended was, what is it? Pokemon Snap.
Okay.
If you don't know what so I now know what Pokemon Snap is.
You take pictures of Pokemon.
Yes. And I didn't know that. It's like I played the game on the Switch after a half hour. I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking game I ever played. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, okay, like there was nothing inherently bad about the game. It's not like the taking pictures of the Pokemon was glitchy. It's not like it wasn't clear what to do. I'm like, this is just not a game for me. Like, this is dumb. So in that regard, you're echoing really badly, by the way. It's like in that regard, just because the game is not for me and I bought it without understanding what the game is, that's my own dumbass fault for buying it. It's not the game developers for making that game, which obviously a lot of people enjoyed. That's just not for me. So I don't give a negative review. I'm like, this is just not a game for me, is how I would look at it. Versus, like, I would consider on the reverse of that, like Diablo 4 in its current state is a bad game because the skill system is absolutely terrible and it's really done nothing to really improve as far as I'm concerned, like 2 years since it's been released. It's kind of the same shell of a game. So that would give it to you from a core gameplay perspective, a negative review.
I think, yeah, I agree. Once again, I'm struggling to figure out a game that I've bombed. And I'm looking at all the games that are on all the game reviews that I have on the website currently.
Yeah.
And I mean,
because I would also say, like, in a way, if I don't like a game, I'm also not going to play it, I think, long enough to, in my mind, to give it a solid review.
Agreed.
So like Pokemon Snap, right? Like I stopped playing it pretty soon because I'm like, this is not a game for me. But just playing a game for a half hour actually gives me a legitimate place to put a review on the game when I haven't actually experienced like more than 10% of the game.
Found one.
Oh boy.
It's a game called Simulacra. It was just, it's basically it's a found cell phone game, kind of like Ring situation, where once you pick up the cell phone, now you've got to solve this mystery, otherwise you'll get sucked into the cell phone type situation. But most of the gameplay is based around voice acting and video acting, and the people, the actors that they had were absolutely terrible. And so it just, it was, and it wasn't like it's so bad that it's good. It was just bad. Ryan says Concord.
Okay, that I think is different because I think a game like Concord or like those fast action like MOBA type of games or like any kind of battle royale.
Yep.
Kind of conversely what I was saying before, you can actually tell pretty quickly if those games are shit or not.
Yeah.
So that I think is fair with a game like Concord or any of those type of, like online battle games. You'll know quickly enough whether or not it's good or not. So that I don't think is unreasonable to give a pretty quick review based on that.
Yeah. There's, it was, there was like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, there was just this flood of World of Warcraft clones.
Yes, there were. And I played a lot of them.
Did you ever play the Conan the Barbarian one?
Yeah.
I think, is that still going?
I think it was called Conan Exiles, if I remember right.
I think so. I think that might actually still be up.
I think, so if I remember right, the new Dune MMO is it's actually like created by the same developer that did Conan Exiles.
Right.
Because it's that kind of same survival type of MMO game.
Gotcha.
Which, like, every time I look at Dune, I'm like, it's an MMO. I love MMOs. But I'm like, wait, Zealeus, it's a survival game. And I don't like survival games.
If I have to keep track of more than my health and my mana, if I have to, my water level, my hunger, my energy level, on top of all this shit.
I watched quite a few reviews, and I think the two things that you really have to do is you do have to keep track of water. That is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And also, it's one of those where, like, and this is something I hated about, like, Zelda, for instance.
Yeah.
Is like all of your equipment has durability.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, that drives nuts.
Ryan says, what are your thoughts of review bombing for in-app purchases and NFTs?
Oh.
I think simply having in-app purchases and review bombing for that fact is BS. But if they've got, like, if all the in-app purchases, if, like, you can't truly play the game unless you're paying a shit ton of money, and the stuff that you're getting is maybe super duper overpriced, then bomb away. But
I agree with that, because every game has in-app not every game, but you know what I mean. And every game has in-app purchases now, so the presence in itself, I'm fine with.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you. It being in the game is a legitimate. Their use of in-app purchases in the game are definitely a valid vector of criticism of a game. If they take away negatively, which, let's be honest, that's like 90% of cell phone games, take away from the gameplay.
Yep. So there you go. I mean, I'm not going to here's a game that I've spent a lot of money in game for, and that, of course, is Legend of Runeterra. I'm not going to I love the game, or I loved it. I haven't really played it competitively in a long, long time. From time to time, I'll jump in and do the single player stuff, but I would never review bomb it simply because I have to buy gems and crystals. Now, if the gems and crystals were like the exchange rate was something absolutely bananas, then I would bomb the shit out of it.
I think where it becomes problematic, and I never actually played the game, but having read about Warcraft Rumble, my understanding is the big issue is when it came to the PvP, it was normal players, meaning free to play for the sake of argument, and you went straight up against the whales, which, if y'all don't know what a whale is, that's able to spend like tens of thousands of dollars in microtransactions in the game. Yeah. So it became very much a PvE. And so I think that's why games fail in large part, actually, is when they're PvP centric, and you can pay to win in a PvP centric game.
Right.
Is absolutely problematic.
Like if it's a PvP game and there's in-app purchases, then it should just be aesthetics.
And I think that's where I would say the opposite, though, is apparently Diablo Immortal is still doing very well, but it's a PvE game.
Right.
And it's pay to win. But when it's PvE, player versus environment, and you can pay to win, if you can still do stuff.
Right.
And yes, you get a boost to pay, obviously. Then I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the match 3 games. You pay to get you can gain coins the slow way, or you can pay to gain some coins fast, so you can continue and you don't break your win streak, so you don't lose all your bonuses.
Oh god, it gives me flashbacks to remember Facebook about 15 years ago with Farmville.
Yeah, man.
Where like to redo your energy and shit, you had to like invite friends and get them to play, and like that was for a year or two was all you'd see on Facebook was like, come join my Farmville and other shitty games.
Please help me.
Yeah, that was, oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyways. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have unfortunately reached the end of our show. So without further ado, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the Altered Fusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, it's been a pleasure getting ready to come our heads, our mouths, of course, our hearts. We'll be back next Thursday for another Altered Fusion Thursday Night Hangout.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.